Hello, everybody. We are back from Thanksgiving break. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. And I want to just continue what we were talking about before when it comes to Spanishdict.com. I gave you a little bit of an overview of how to navigate it a little bit. And let's go over the conjugation charts again. So this has a really great tool with the AR, ER, IR verb types, and you can do a quiz. They're very personable with how they phrase these little sections with like the, Wizard of Oz reference, oh my, AR, ER, IR, oh my, right? Practice your verb conjugations today. And then they give the relevant conjugation lessons here. And these ones I go over with my students, so that's why they're partially completed. Normally, these are meant to be done on your own, not necessarily on a class setting. However, it does have a class, see it has classroom section here. So I have made some classes for certain students, but right now we're just going to focus more on the conjugation. So let's take hablar. I like using that one as an example. And remember that when we write down our verb conjugation charts in our notebooks, we want to do the infinitive, hablar, right? Infinitive is the non-changed or non-tampered with version of the verb. It's like your base set where it starts. And then you have the English definition. I never have seen the need to put in English translations in your notebook when you do the verb conjugation charts, because you should kind of know what the verb is. You should try to avoid translation when you're learning as much as possible, in my opinion. I think that it's highly inefficient to keep on perpetuating this practice of translating in your head. So if you reinforce a translation in your head by putting the translation on your notebook, then I think that is just going to keep that habit going, and we want to not do that. So that's why I don't recommend putting the English translation. And then we want the participles, the present participle and the past participle, which I don't like using those terms for these because it's more apt to say progressive participle and perfect participle. The reason why I don't like these terms, even though they're not necessarily wrong, is that it makes it seem like it can only be used in the present, and that's not true. And it makes it seem like this can only be used in the past, and that's not true. Right? You can use them in any, like I will have spoken, for example. That's a future, but I'm still using that participle. Or like, I'm going to have I'm going to have to be speaking this afternoon or whatever. Like that's another future for for the progressive participle. So you see, it's a little bit misleading, and also they're relevant farther down. When you scroll down here after imperative, there's a progressive section, and that's using the progressive participle, right? And it's misleading to the reader, thinking that the user thinking that this is going to be referenced later as present or something. And the same thing with the past or perfect participle is underneath the progressive section. There's a perfect section, and it uses a perfect participle in all of these. Notice that this is a big revelation to my students as well, is that that's a consistent, constant thing. Participles don't change for anything, right? And so when we have, present progressive or preterite progressive or imperfect progressive or whatever, all you're doing is modifying the modal verb, the helping verb. And same thing with the perfect. You're modifying the modal verb, which is haber for perfect, right? By the present, preterite, imperfect, conditional, and future conjugations, but then you keep the participle exactly the same. Okay? So that's what those are doing, and that's why the participle section is important. And then the third thing is just copy down the entire indicative chart. We want to just get it all done in one go, because whenever you study or you use any language, you're going to be using multiple tenses. You're not always just going to be talking in the present or the future or the past or whatever. You're going to be doing all these tenses. So I think it's well worth it that whenever you do a verb conjugation chart, always just put down the entire indicative chart. This whole process of learning the present first and get that down perfectly, and then you go on to the preterite and the imperfect and stuff. I don't think that's really efficient, in my opinion, if you want to learn quickly. So learn them all, at least get familiar with them. I don't mean learn all the functions of them and everything. I'm just saying get familiar with the conjugation charts, right? So when you learn hablar, you're going to write down the infinitive, the participles, and the indicative chart. And you're just going to be familiar with them. You don't have to know how to use everything at first, right? And then I love how it has examples here. These examples are for when you're feeling a bit unsure about the use of it, right? And so it puts it in context, and that makes it really nice for really narrowing in on how to use it. And of course, you have the pronunciation guide and the differences between the different parts of the world that use it. And then you have the thesaurus. So it just has a plethora of resources for every single verb that you want to study. So this is just one of the most useful and magnificent features of Spanishdict.com. Highly recommend registering. You have to register in order to keep the progress, and in order to do any of the lessons. It doesn't cost anything. It's free, but well worth registering. So just register on the site. A student of mine was saying the other day she couldn't watch the lessons or anything because whenever she tried to watch a lesson, it said sign in and you have to register and all this stuff. At very least, just like sign in with Facebook or Google or something. It's well worth it. I highly recommend it. You'll get the option of going premium, which I do because I use it for my job all the time. So it's worth it for me because there's no ads, but also they give you these like little PDF cheat sheet things that you can print out and laminate if you want. I also just use the Spark Notes. I usually give my students, if I'm with them in person, I give them the Spark Notes, like a laminated thing on certain grammar and verb conjugation resources. So, excellent tool. Highly recommend using it. Buena suerte for you guys learning Spanish. I really, really, really want to work with these people to make this site for French and German as well. I think that would, I would love it a lot. I would absolutely love to use this kind of a resource for French and German, but they unfortunately responded to me saying that they're just focused on English and Spanish for the moment. So I guess that's okay too, but you know, can't blame me for trying. Next time we'll probably go over which are the most important verbs to study at first. There's a definite hierarchy, and if you take my class, those verbs are going to be what we narrow in on like immediately, and we just need to get familiar with them, how to use them. What's nice about studying verbs in the very beginning and studying all these conjugations is that whenever you study a verb, you need to put it in a sentence, right? So all those other residual words in the sentence we're going to also learn. So it's just an excellent kind of gateway word or part of speech into other words and other parts of speech. But it is nice how like they have these vocabulary lists that are at first it was all of their vocabulary lists that they accumulated and made themselves, but then they allowed it to be all the users submitted vocabulary lists, which is really nice because then everybody else who wants to, study a certain vocab and they make a collection of their own lists that they like, they put them on here, and it's incredibly useful. I just very impressed with how this is set up. So anyways, I guess I'll stop gushing about it. And you guys let me know if you need any help navigating it or anything, and I will hopefully be making more frequent videos because that's what I need to be doing. Also, I just want to say, starting January, I'm starting with the Language Academy, the Raymond Benson Language Academy. We're doing group classes, and also I'm doing a study with parents of young children where I teach the parents how to teach their children language. And even if they don't speak that language, I'm teaching through the parents, the child, the language, and then in so doing, the parents will learn the language as well. So it's, in my opinion, it's going to be, hopefully, in my hypothesis, it's going to be a very efficient way for everybody, for the whole family to learn the language. And I'm very much looking forward to starting that study. That's going to be in the beginning of January, and if anybody's interested, please contact me, and I would be more than happy to have a consultation with you and see if you can be involved with that study. All right, so I look forward to hearing from you guys.